Alright, welcome back everybody, all 3 of my subscribers or so, and all 4 people who actually watched the video so far. Okay, here pretty soon we're going to have about 10 billion subscribers. Probably going to be signing autographs. Brad Pitt's going to ask me to play him in one of the movies. The movie of his life, you know, those kind of things. Anyway, just a quick update here. I am going to do another 3-hour challenge as a practice today. And the reason is because this bad boy right here, you know, this is my chopper. This is what I was going to forge up and get all awesome on it, chop some ice, bend it to, you know, flat 45 degrees or 90 or 3000 or whatever degrees it is. Anyway, what happened is I'm forging it, gets red hot, and as you can see there's snow on the ground. Slipped out of my tongs, landed in the ice and snow, and basically hardened too fast and cracked it, just like if I were to water quench it. So I thought, you know, what the heck, I'll just weld it up here. I welded it up, I'll regrind it, straighten it out a little bit, and then I'll destroy it for real. I'll get after the ice chop, just put like a pine handle on it, 2x4 handle, and just get after it. And if it breaks, it breaks. If it doesn't, well, no, maybe I'll throw it in the camping kit or something to destroy later. Anyway, it's a shame. I was crying. Well, not really, but I was cussing a little bit, probably. Yeah, I don't cuss. But anyway, what I'm going to do today then, as part of that 3-hour challenge, I've got some leaf spring right here that I'm trading and for a little bit of work. Anyway, I'm going to take and cut this off in 3 hours. Take this piece here, draw this out to an 11 inch or so chopper, just like the one you see there, maybe 12 inch if I can get it there, forge a handle into it in those 3 hours, grind it, heat treat it in 3 hours. So got a little bit of work to do there. Shouldn't be, well, hopefully shouldn't be too tough. Now the other thing I'm going to do, not today but here coming up, is I'm going to do a canister weld. So what I've done here, I'm going to take some not motorcycle chain, help me out, chainsaw chain, there we go, because we live here in the mountains. There's a lot of logging going on, not as much as we need, or anyway, but there's logging going on, and so I had Sam McGarrett, one of my good friends, give me some chains off of his chainsaws. I'm going to chop those up, add those in there, and then put powdered steel in. Then I'm going to forge weld all of that together, so it's going to be powdered steel, maybe some ball bearings, but mostly just chainsaw chain. Forge that all up, grind the canister off or chop it off, pound it off, whatever however I can get the thing off of there. And then I'll take and draw that out and make that into a knife. So powdered steel, and where I got that is just off of my grinder, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to purify that so there's not a bunch of junk in there, sanding belt debris, wood stuff that I've ground on there, or the micarta handles. Anyway, let's get to it. Thank you again for joining. Please share the videos out. Please, you know, help me get famous. I do want to play Brad Pitt, maybe Channing Tatum, Jason Momoa, maybe. Yeah, maybe Jason. Aquaman. Here we come. Anyway. So what I'm doing here, obviously need to work on my transition a little bit. I've got an 8-pound sledgehammer that I took and put a short handle on. I'm just working on the tip. There are a couple things here that are difficult for me. One is, you know, first of all, deciding what kind of tip. I'm halfway between a Bowie and a chopper and kind of couldn't decide. The other thing is this spring steel is tough stuff. This is a 1/4 inch, maybe even a little thicker piece of spring steel. So to get this stuff to move, even when it's red hot, is tough. This is very tough stuff. You can see me starting it here. Not that great. Basically, I've straightened everything out. Okay, now this is a skip-in video. I'm working on my style. I was working on 2 or 3 knives. I'm just using the Hot Cut Hardy here and cutting the handle off here. I think this is about 4 inches long. I'm going to draw it out, and you can see how thick that stuff is. You can see to the right there where I'm hanging on to the blade part. I still can't decide on the tip, so it's got the fish mouth in it and all that good stuff. It's not awesome, but this is kind of a comedy of errors here, me trying to cut this. I'm trying to bend it back and forth just like steel wood. You can see that it's
you know, it's still warm. It'll still bend and that, but I've tried to bend it back and forth like steel, and pretty much can't do it. Okay, I can bend it back and forth, but it's not breaking here. I watch this and just cringe. Anyway, I need a different set of tongs too that I'm using here. More of a bladesmithing tong that'll give me more control, or I just need tougher hands so I can just grab that hot steel by hand and not have to use tongs, but I'm not that tough yet. So what I end up doing is just quenching that part there in the bend, makes it hard, and you can see I just hit it once and it breaks. Just snaps right off. So there we are. You can see the fish mouth and all that good stuff. Okay, now here I am again, just trying to flatten that out a little bit more, draw it out just a little bit more. And what happened here, you know, I need to work on my editing. Obviously, I'm getting my clips out of order and all kinds of good stuff, but in the interest of time, I just threw this one together. My next video, I'm going to show you the actual forging of the coil spring knife, and I'll do a better job with it. I got better video and a little bit more in detail filming of that. You can see me using that big old 8-pound hammer again. You know, that wears on your arm for sure. I can still use it, but it's not too fun. Okay, just using that small hammer to straighten a few things out. There's that spring fuller I was using earlier. Or the coil spring knife again, actually, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Here we go, putting the set in the handle here. Kind of trying to demarcate between the blade and the handle part. If you notice, I left the hole in the leaf spring. Some guys cut that off, but I thought, you know what? I can use that as a pin. So I'll just use that for replacing a handle pin. I won't have to drill it or anything like that already. Now again, tongs, the right tongs would have helped here. Looking kind of not awesome, but I'm trying to bend that around, get that set. You can see there where that's just a small notch getting it started. Here we are bending that around. Now this is an old railroad hammer that I picked up, and I just use it as a straight pin. It's heavy. It's probably a 6-pound hammer, and it'll draw that steel out pretty well, actually. Hit it here, and again, Newton's third law, you know, once you start hitting, it'll push that steel out to the side. It'll move the steel. And anyway, you can see it's lengthening there. Started out about 4 inches. We get that to about 5.5 inches, I think, but it thins it down pretty well. I'm going to go back here, try to get all the hammer marks out. What I'm trying to do is taper this blade too. I want it to taper from basically the junction between the blade and the handle. So I want it to thin, have a distal taper. It'll thin from there towards the tip and from there towards the end of the hammer, or the handle, excuse me. So I'm drawing that out. I'm trying to flatten it, thin it out, because it is a beastly heavy knife right here. Just sizing it out, kind of seeing how we're doing, flattening a few things out, make sure we have the right length, but I don't want it too long. I think a little bit later I end up cutting just a little bit off of the end there, because it did get too long once I'd drawn it out and hammered it so dang much. Here I have my little rounding hammer. What I'm trying to do there is just straighten things out, take a few hammer marks out. You can see I'm just barely tapping it. I'm not hitting too hard. Again, just kind of fine-tuning some of those things. Checking for straightness. It's pretty imperative that we get all of that, as much as we can, worked out before the heat treat. We don't want any twist, don't want any warp in it. There's my attack pug. He's my assistant. Here pretty soon, here comes the attack chicken. That's my other assistant. Anyway, got her done. Thanks again for watching. This was a good time for sure. I got it done, heat treated, and ready for the fire. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you one more little drawing out technique. I don't know if you can see that there, but what I've got is that's the coil spring knife. Now I'm using the horn of the anvil and the rounding part of the hammer. And hammering it there, what it's doing is it's spreading it just a little bit widthwise, but it's spreading it more along the length there. And then I will go ahead and, like you see here, I'll hammer that in. Now, what happened is I moved some steel around, and I actually put too much curvature in the handle. I like, some curves are sexy, but if it's all curves, then, that's not for me. But that's just a little different technique I threw in to show, that you can use the edge of the anvil, you can use the cross peen or straight peen hammer, and okay, here we go again. Just working on the tip. What's happening here is I ended up with that fish mouth, and it was bugging me because I could not decide, honestly. I could have just hammered that in, but what had happened is I left it in. I made some adjustments to my forge, re-insulated, did some other things, and worked on the burners a little bit. And it got so hot for the first time maybe ever that it actually burned that tip on that steel. And once it did that, there's some cracks in it and that. So what I thought I'd do, I'd just go ahead and cut that off rather than try to, work with it. I'd rather be safe than sorry there. Ended up cutting about 3/4 of an inch off. And I just love that Hot Cut Hardy. It's pretty amazing to me that I can take that hot steel, take another piece of steel that's cold, and just hammer it. Had to come back and actually play with it a little bit before I got it to break off of there. I'm a master Hot Cut Hardy tool man right now. No, I'm not really, but anyway, it's a good time. I'm learning as I go. All right, thank you for sorry about the intermission here. Threw up a picture here of the blade. At the bottom there is the chopper. I need to get a little bit better video. I will get more pictures. There you can see it with the sword. I was working on 2 different things at once. I have a really hard time only working on one project at a time.
All right, well, thanks again for joining me today. This is more again of a test video, trying to see just exactly what is picked up, sound-wise. I had to stop my camera out of batteries. This is my daughter's camera here, so hopefully there won't be any quality difference in the videos. And anyway, please subscribe, hit like if you found anything you liked here. And I will try to not say as many times as I normally do. So look forward to more videos in the future. Thank you.